Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers, a music podcast where a group of friends gather together to share music with each other, an album at a time. It's like a little book club for music. Fun time had by all. I'm Petey Rave. Here with me is my team, my squad, my crew. We've got David.
Buenos nachos, muchachos.
And we've got Drew.
Hey, folks.
We are here to talk about music. We're here to talk about an album, a curiosity of an album that I brought forth for the crew. I brought forth an artist that caught my attention on TikTok, like I've had before, because of kind of like the unusual mix and just kind of how cool it was. There was like a live performance, and it was just like this metalcore breakdown with a saxophone in the middle of it. So I was like, well, let me look this artist up and save it and put it in my notes.
From Russia?
Well, I should look them up too. But I was curious about this artist, and I put the album into my document to keep track of some of the things I wanted to bring up. And in looking up the artist, I found out that it was Johnny Franck of Attack Attack, the crabcore guys, who you might remember from back in the day, from a decade ago, I think over a decade ago, maybe even a decade and a half ago at this point. I don't know.
We ran into them while we were picking up tickets for the Mulligans one time, to tell you how old that is.
Oh, yeah. The virality.
Yep. And that made me even more curious as to what this was going to sound like as on the whole and as an album, what his project would entail. We're talking about the solo project of one Johnny Franck, Bilmuri, not the actor, but just Bilmuri.
Like
and the album,
actor. Like the actor. That's the joke.
Exactly. Yeah. With the album American Motorsports. Once again, another album with all caps when you spell the song name. But let's talk about expectations from what you guys were thinking. David, what were your expectations? What were you thinking? Honestly, specifically when in the end of last episode where you found out that who it was.
Also, Petey, another album with a dude standing in front of his house. Another album like that. Yes, when I came to the realization that Mr. Franck was a part of Attack Attack, I was equal parts excited, intrigued, and mortified. So I went in with an open mind and an empty stomach, and I got something that was a lot better than I expected. I was impressed by his voice, most of all. His voice reminded me of one of my favorite singers in recent years, Ash O'Hara, formerly of Tesseract and Voices of the Fuselage. Really fantastic singer from England. His voice really has that same tone and carry and vibrato. Really, really good. Also, he's from Ohio, so that also kind of gave me an idea of what this would sound like, and I put my bias about Ohio aside, and again, I came in with an open mind.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what were your thoughts and expectations?
When I figured out it was the dude what does Attack Attack and me not being the biggest fan of metalcore, I was not excited. I was hopeful that this would be better than our foray into Glassjaw some years ago, but I didn't think that I was going to get a huge amount out of this.
At this point, okay, before I describe this album musically, I'll put this question. Is Glassjaw our official Mendoza line?
It is for me. Like
that's our official like Mendoza line. Like you like
Well, that's your guys' Mendoza line.
yeah,
I
Deej
need a
wasn't
minute
here.
to think of mine.
yeah. But yeah. I would so what I would say about this album.
I should bring that album back.
We got to do our like review when we start like going back to our most notable albums and
Watch, my tastes have
assessing.
changed in the last like what is it, 7-8 years? And
One of those albums that I
favorite
really,
album
really
ever.
hated, whichever one it was.
Yeah. But yeah. The thing is, we talked about the metalcore, we talked about the crabcore, we talked about all the sound. But if I were to describe this album musically, I would visually describe a multi-layer cake, but mostly, okay. It's a layer of country pop with a layer of metalcore, kind of hastily plopped on top, and like a slap of saxophone and a slap of a few other things, all kind of like put together with a fondant of TikTok pop pop construction sensibility.
I get that. I do get that. Yeah.
I can get that
Yeah.
something.
I'll let you finish.
So-
Sorry.
Yeah. I would say at its core, it's very much these are all at their core country pop songs, essentially. He starts with the structure of a country pop song with the singing and the songwriting approaches of just one of your standard I don't even like is Post Malone country pop or is like Mitchell Tenpenny or I don't know who's one of those, like I don't want to say the guy that ran out of SNL because like I don't want to fucking give him publicity, but
The thing I feel like with a lot of pop, when I think of pop country, I think of like Florida Georgia Line and Big and Rich
yeah,
and that sort of Keith Urban brand of country music.
but we're talking
But-
but I'm talking about, so we're more looking at the current country pop of just dude that's a guy and has and sings sings at a relatively limited vocal range and is basically that guy that plays guitar on that singing show you watch that you can't understand why he gets so deep in the show despite being incredibly boring, but he sings
You know
soulfully.
why. You know why.
I mean,
you know why.
He sings soulfully, kind of, and he plays an acoustic guitar, and and it's that sound, that sound. But at its core, and that's a structure. That's a very like pop structure, and like I said, country pop, just like I was talking about with pop punker versus punk pop. It is a pop with a country concept, pop with a country concept. But it's white dude music, white dude with a beard, white dude with like just a kind of look a beard, just a regular beard, and like is like just a guy, at its core. And then on top
White
of
guy
that,
with a
it's
beard and a dachshund. It's just
I'm not calling out anyone in particular.
Yeah, stop stroking your wiener on stream.
get us banned from Twitch.
But yeah, on the top of that, it kind of like puts in a lot of other styles of music and just kind of like all the things that Johnny Franck likes to play. Most of it is just like this, these metalcore guitar riffs that kind of like fill out the sound during much of the songs, most of the songs, and much of the songs, and it somehow works together and somehow kind of like constructs into this very interesting sound and very interesting like approach to music, and He has guest artists which contribute really well, and he has like these other mix of sounds. But yeah, like that's that layer, that multi-layer cake. David, how would you describe this album musically?
I was thinking more along the lines of a pizza, where I would say the dough is sort of a emo metalcore mix with some country toppings and some pop toppings, and in a weird way, this all really works because the songwriting is tight and concise. Nothing feels too out of place. It all just kind of works. You can tell that he's a very good, solid songwriter because nothing feels too long, nothing feels too short. Everything starts and finishes kind of right where it needs to. I would also say that this is not as heavy as metalcore might make you think.
Yeah.
It's not quite as heavy as that. You're not really going to freak out your parents with this. Not too much. If this does freak your parents out, whoa.
Get new parents.
Might want to look into that. But
I was thinking about sending this to my father, weirdly enough.
But it's pretty solidly written and composed and produced overall. It has, I don't want to say it's a very strong metalcore foundation because it just doesn't go as extreme as you would think. This is not an extreme album. It is a very accessible album of all of the things that we've already mentioned, composed and put together, but it's in a very nice package, fairly concise, actually very concise, and it pretty much works.
Drew, how would you describe this album musically?
Okay, I gotta get two jokes out of the way. One, I was thinking of this album more like a chicken paprikash. That's joke one. Joke two was, no, this album is not extreme. Extreme made albums like Porno Graffiti and Waiting for the Punchline. But the thing to me about this is that, like I said, I'm not a huge, like, screamy metalcore guy. I never was. Attack Attack was never really my thing. But I could see where, like, okay, they have writing chops. Like, they're good at this. Like, I get it. It just isn't, like, I don't love it. And right off the bat, it was this, you still had the chugging, like, metalcore guitars. You still had that sort of drumline in parts, but you got the Telecaster twang. You have the like white dude talking about like sad stuff about himself, which is a lot of country. The parts of pop country I don't like, with your guys we won't mention and your Big and Riches and Florida Georgia Lines and stuff, and your Cowboy Troys and whatnot. Something about it doesn't feel genuine. Maybe it's like the injection of like hip hop and R&B they sometimes try to do. And maybe it's the overly produced like mandolin. I don't know what it is, but it never quite hits for me. So keeping the instrumentation varied, like, and keeping it simple. It's drums, it's bass, it's guitar. Like, they're not trying to like do a bunch of like extra like, oh, here's a mandolin, here's like some like strings you would get in country. They're not overdoing that bit. They're not overplaying that hand, but they're not overplaying the metalcore hand either. I think it works really, really well from that aspect. I think the mix of it sounds really good. adding the saxophone, I think, is inspired because you say country and metalcore, saxophone is left field in a weird way and still works really, really well. The production of it is really, really smart and really, really well laid out with something like this where you have an acoustic or a Telecaster twangy underpinning and then you're still chugging over it. The worry is like you're going to lose the first to bring up the second. They don't do that with the production here, which I think is really, really nice. His vocals are really, really good. And again, you believe what he's singing and stuff like that. I think the transitions between heavier side of things, and when I say heavy, this is encapsulated in the heavier side for what this is doing versus the like more country parts, which there's especially a couple of songs that do it really, really well. I'm glad one of the songs that does it really, really well has a certain title, and we will get to that in a bit. But it is a thing where the composition is so strong, the production is so strong, and this is going to be me pulling from a different bag. There's a band called The Wonder Years. I think I've brought them in once, like probably a couple years ago.
Maybe not. I don't know. I gotta see. I think so. I don't remember.
I think I brought All Downhill from. No, what is the name of? I can't remember.
Well, we'll have to look at that.
Point being is they take some like the overtone and the tonality in the singing takes a pop punk sensibility, but using the chugga hardcore like sort of feel to the guitar tone and stuff like that. This reminded me of that, but taking a country approach instead of a pop punk approach to hardcore. And like, I've never wanted to do the crabcore thing, and I'm like, oh, God damn it. So, like, I get it now. In ways, is like just the headbanging. Like, I found myself going like this on my drive home, just doing the like weird undulating headbang thing. I'm like, God damn it. You got me.
You know, well, all of us are in our 30s, so we shouldn't really get down on that crabcore pose because I don't think we could get up if we tried. Yes. Yeah. Also, one of the things I thought of was like it's the country pop style that is the new tier in my beer. It's a modern day tier in my beer music.
Which
also,
I feel like a lot of pop
love that band. Tears for Beers. Love those guys.
Yes.
Like, I feel like that's the Tyler Childers and the Chris Stapletons, which is like a different thing entirely.
Yeah, well, I would say they're popish enough. Yeah. Also, this is also not garbage because Shirley Manson's not in it. So,
God damn it.
Let's talk about key tracks. Let's talk about some of the tracks, and I think there's some straightforward tracks. Empty Handed is the second track on the album on Spotify. Oddly enough, it's the first track on the album on Freegal. If you use Freegal with your library card, they don't have Better Hell on there. Probably because it's the one explicit song. I don't know why. But Empty Handed, featuring Dylan Marlowe. Dylan. Straight fire. Dylan Marlowe. Dylan Marlowe. It is a solid opening, a solid amalgamation of the sound and that this album is going for. It has those guitar stylings. It has that straightforward, just like country pop singing style, great solid songwriting, and it also has just in the middle of it the Kevin James meme, the gentlemen start your engines Kevin James meme. And you know what? I've got to give it points for anytime somebody can just meme it up in their music while being fully serious. I got to commend them.
Before I forget this, on Bilmuri's either, I think, first or second album, there is a song that is all caps, one word, cranking my motherfucking hog.
Yes.
That has a sample that is the opening from Portal 2, where it's talking about you being woken up from stasis right before the jump. No, you're saying apple joke bit in the pod room thing.
Yeah.
That is used as a sample. They do dumb memes a lot, apparently. Yeah. It is not uncommon.
Yeah.
I don't know what's so funny about revving up your motorcycle.
Exactly. I don't know. It's about the excitement,
whatever these kids are into nowadays. I don't
know. But yeah, then you go into Miss Me, which is kind of almost an outlier because this one is just straightforward a country pop song. It is just straightforward. No frills around it, no extra layers on top. And it's well written. It's well constructed. It's a nice little smooth tiny break in early into the album, where he just shows off his straightforward pop songwriting sensibilities, and it's done well. It's straightforward. That song that Drew alluded to, 2016 Cavaliers, Parens, Ohio, and Parens, featuring Knox. This is, for one thing, it's the only song on this album that goes above 3 minutes, but it doesn't overstay its welcome still. It is really solid, really fun. It's one of the ones where you have the metalcore saxophone breakdown. It is catchy. It's got a solid hook. It gets you excited about being from Ohio. Then you realize he's saying that hell is Ohio, which gets the rest of us excited. But it works really well as a song, and it's really solid, tight songwriting. That gets followed by All Gas, featuring Mitchell Tenpenny. Who is another, you see a picture of him. He looks like the guy from the music show that goes really deep, just because he plays a guitar and kind of sings wistfully. But it is a really, really tight, really solid song.
He looks like one of those dudes, all right.
Yeah, but he contributes a really solid vocal contribution and really solid song, really, really tight, really cool, and it has all those mixes with his voice and the heavier guitars and it works really well. Blindsided is another song where it brings in that's the last song, and Blindsided, which kind of brings in starts off with a very conventional pop, country pop style, and then switches almost. This one is almost even more of a switch back and forth, where it just switches to the heavier riffs, and then goes back to the down to the pop structure, and then it ends on a nice little breakdown, kind of wraps up with another metalcore saxophone outro. David, what would be some of the key songs for you?
Spinning You Around, track 4. I liked this one in particular because it felt like a radical shift from the first 3 tracks. And with the first 3 tracks, I felt like, okay, I see what I'm getting here, but Spinning Me Around felt very different, and I liked that about it. Blindsided, as Petey mentioned, again, really well written, really well composed, very solid, very concise. And the saxophone at the end is a very nice surprise. Talking to Your Ghost, track 9. I really liked the instrumentation in this song. I think there were some pretty strong riffs in this song, and they were well arranged and well put together. And I thought this song was particularly pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what will be some of the key tracks for you?
Well, Thick Boy itself, Better Hell. Starting off again, Telecaster twang in the background and chugging guitar. Like this song, I went into this. This is one of the rare times where I went in completely blind. I've never heard of this artist before, even an inkling. I've never heard of Bilmuri. So this is the first track. Was like, oh, this is gonna be a lot. 2016 Cavaliers, Ohio. It's a feeling that makes sense, especially as an Ohioan who has been in relationships while in Ohio. It is really like there is no worse place to try to get out of being like sad while you're alone than Ohio. Like, because a lot of like the cool parts of Ohio is like, yeah, I don't want to go on a hike in the Cuyahoga National Valley alone. That seems like a bad plan. So like all of the things you would want to do, it's like I would have to do that alone, and that seems dangerous for a number of reasons. So like getting out of that funk here and can be bad. Also, there's a lot of like hidden Skyline references, or a lot of hidden Ohio references. Skyline chili is still trash. I do not care.
It's not very good. It's not good at all.
I say trash. It is oppressively mid. Like it's like there's better chili. And then spinning me around, the pig squeal in that. Like I was listening on my way home, and that sort of at the end as I choke myself. I am not meant for metalcore vocals. But that was hilarious to me and really good. And then for me, as far as the mix and the production, I think All Gas is my favorite there. It also mixes what I always heard about like people that were super, super into like Attack and Dance Gavin Dance and like all those bands was it was super melodic and like super fun and like you could find yourself grooving and dancing to it while it being like this very sonically different thing. And I think All Gas gives me the idea of what those people were talking about, and I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, let's bring it back around the horn and talk about some conclusions. David, how would you conclude on this album as a whole?
First of all, 10 tracks in under 30 minutes. Wow. Phew. That went by in a flash. I would also say Mr. Franck is clearly a lot more talented and creative than anyone might have expected, being a part of the much maligned Attack. The songs here are just punchy enough to get kids maybe moshing just a tiny bit, but not enough to think that it might scare your parents. I hesitate in calling this metalcore. I hesitate there. It feels like it doesn't cross that line. The songs are short, but they don't feel too short. Everything feels like it starts and ends right where it should be. And I think there's something to be said about being skilled enough to have the brevity of writing a concise, country, heavier, emo song with pop sensibilities and a pop finish. There's something to be said about making that work. And I see that he recently toured with the juggernaut of the modern day that is Sleep Token. And I can definitely see where there would be some crossover there. I can see a little bit of crossover. I do think that he's tapped into his strengths of what I described as Midwest emo with some muscle. I imagine that he probably hates his hometown, but at the same time, he's probably got like a weight set in his garage, and some pretty decent running shoes. So he does keep himself in shape. He does work out a little bit. So it's Midwest emo with some muscles is what I'll say. And I really thought this was pretty good overall. I would say that if you do like Sleep Token, you should definitely check this out. I think that if you like more of the hardcore bands, maybe not necessarily on the metalcore side. I don't think this has that punch, the percussiveness, and the virtuosity that metalcore brings to the table. However, I would not be surprised if Mr. Frank decided that he wanted to go in that direction and make something a little heavier, a little more complex. I believe he could probably pull it off, and I believe he could probably pull it off well. But this album, as it stands, I thought it was a pretty solid outing. I ain't mad at it. I thought it was solid.
Drew, how would you conclude on this album as a whole?
I'm gonna bring up a band I bring up every so often, in sort of giving an idea of how I feel about this. This is going to get the same sort of play that the Bad Rabbits did for me. I really, really enjoyed my time in this album. I have since gone back and watched. He has Bilmuri the band. I shouldn't say he, but Frank and Bilmuri the band has an hour-long set that they played in Atlanta, that they recorded and had mic'd, knowing they were going to put this out and then do the overdubs in spots like you always do, that every band does. And it was phenomenal to watch. It looked like a damn fun time. I went back and seen some of the things. The memes that he has posted on his Instagram about this references it as dadcore, which I can kind of see. But to me, this does the thing that the Wonder Years did for me, and that is I'm not always looking for hardcore. As much as I love bands like Comeback Kid and From Autumn to Ashes and all that sort of stuff, I'm not always looking for screaming music. But I sometimes want the chugging hard guitars and stuff like that. Yeah. This is an album that, one, makes me want to go back, because I understand there's a little less country in the older stuff, so that would be interesting. But I also think that he has said this is like sort of the new thing that he wants to do and explore. And if that's the case, and like Deej said, he explores the space a little bit more. Like, what is a metalcore solo but run through a chorus on a Telecaster? What is that? Like, how does that mix with...
Or a slide guitar, if you want to get nasty.
Right, like
or a pedal steel.
Like somebody call Squiggles and hook him up with this dude from Columbus, and let's see what happens. But it was wholly unexpected, and I kind of hate how much I liked it, because on paper I shouldn't have. Yeah. And it is a reminder of why you always got to keep an honest ear open, even if you think maybe it's not your thing, and give it a chance, because you can find some stuff that is supremely your thing.
Like David said, come on with an open mind and an empty stomach. Just feast.
I put it in the chat, but Iron Chef? Isn't that Iron Chef?
Maybe. I don't know.
With an open mind and an empty stomach.
Maybe. I don't know.
Put it together. Put it together.
I have exactly the same thing with that Drew had, whereas on paper, and by all rights, I should hate this. And honestly, it's not even for me. When I listened to it, it wasn't the metalcore because I'm here for like crazy whatever it is. Like, give me a bunch of stupid chuggy things or give me stupid stuff in the metal scene. And even if it's like brain rot, I can have fun with it. I didn't, listening to those other metalcore stuff, I can just have fun jamming to it, whatever, listening to the silliness, listening to the fun. It's when it's like it's the country pop core, that core layer of it, which these are at their structure, at their in their framework, essentially country pop songs, and I should not like this. But I did. I think it was executed well. I think it adds enough variety and dynamics and novelty to kind of make it something a lot more fun than I thought it would have been. It's well made. It's well constructed. It is it is tight as far as like production and as far as like time frames. It is definitely with less the short, because it's short from a punk standpoint, more like short from a pop standpoint of a modern. Let's just have the TikTok hook and not much else. But it doesn't fall into those traps, and it's actually has a great framework outside of that. And it is overall a surprisingly fun record and a surprisingly good record. And if I were to get my conclusion is, good on you. Also, another conclusion is that I know we've been talking about how we want people to people said that they wish people would make longer songs and people would, they're sad.
Me.
They're mad.
That's me.
Yes.
I have the brain damage.
But I am okay. I think the opposite. I want more longer songs to exist, but the people that are making short songs, just go further with it. Just stop bothering with the pretense of making a 2-minute song. Just make a minute and a half, exactly just your 2 TikTok hooks, and get out. Just do it. Stop pretending. Just go full hog. Just make TikTok hooks. Stop with the pretense. Like, stop pretending you stop posing as poets and just be the drunken buffoons that you are. Yeah. Those are our conclusions on Bilmuri's American Motorsports. Now we get to the main event of the evening, the moment you've all been waiting for, our Haiku Reviews, where we sum it all up in poetic form. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Haiku numero uno. David, what is your haiku?
More depth than you'd think. Hesitate saying emo, very Midwestern.
Drew, what is your haiku?
I can dig it some. Good composition and tone. Didn't seem like me.
My haiku. The crabcore guy does country pop meets metalcore. Surprisingly good. And those are our thoughts on Bilmuri's American Motorsports. You can, of course, find us on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers a home game. Do your due diligence and your dude diligence. You can find it on our show notes over at recordbreakerscast.com. All of our episode links are there, and all of our show notes with links to our playlist and everything are there. It's all freshly, recently redesigned, so looks fantastic. I'm really happy with the new look of the whole Rebelli website, including the Record Breakers blog or webpage. On those playlists, which is also a YouTube playlist as well. On those playlists is going to be next week's record, and it's going to be provided by David. David, what have you got in store for us?
Well, you tell me, Petey Rave. Should I? Mind you, should I stay on brand or go off brand?
I would like one I would like for this time to go off-brand to kind of see what we can swerve into.
Very good. I found this artist also on TikTok, but they're not exactly what one might describe as a TikTok artist or someone that they may call an industry plant, because it's just not a genre that would really fit into that mold. I found a young woman by the name of Leslie Vincent, and the name of the album is About Last Night from 2024. Leslie Vincent, About Last Night.
Yes, sir. Look forward to that coming up. But that'll be next time, and this is now. And you can, of course, find us all over the internet. recordbreakerscast.com, rebelli.net for this and our other shows and other stuff. Rebelli TV on YouTube and on Twitch. Follow us over there. Check out all the things. Subscribe, like, share, leave a comment, leave a review, do all the things. Find us everywhere you find podcasts like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the like. Do all the things. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
In the words of Ross from Haken, give me some jazz.
Annyeong. Fighting.
Goodbye, mwah, and good night, bang.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.